simply retaliating in a fury because of the horrendous nature of these attacks and might not have a medium or long-term plan? And secondly, I'm wondering, how worried are you about a second front in this war? Iran and Hezbollah have already made threats of opening this new front if attacks on civilians or an Israeli blockade of Gaza continues. What would the U.S. response be if Hezbollah ramps up its own attacks, for instance, in response to a ground invasion? And Sheikh Mohammed, the U.S. and Israel are both struggling with this tragic and fluid hostage situation that the Secretary was talking about, and have looked for Qatar to help navigate it. Can you tell us about your engagements with Hamas, and are you optimistic about getting these people back alive, given reports that some of them may have already died in Israeli strikes on Gaza? And secondly, there have been rising criticism and protests across the Arab world as Israel's retaliation continues. What's your view of how Israel is conducting its military response? And are you worried about the potential? Are you also worried about the potential for medium and long-term consequences of what's happening? Thank you.
Ian, thank you very much. First part of the question, no country can tolerate having a terrorist group come in, slaughter its people in the most unconscionable ways, and live like that. What Israel's doing is not retaliation. What Israel is doing is defending the lives of its people, and, as I said, trying to make sure that this cannot happen again. And I think any country faced with what Israel has suffered would likely do the same thing. Imagine if this had happened in the United States. So that's what is happening. Of course, it's important to think about, as one might put it, the day after, and where this goes. And I believe that is very much a part of Israel's thinking, as well as our own, and the thinking of many other countries in the region. Because one thing is for sure, we can't go back to the status quo that allowed this to happen in the first place. So that has to be part of the thinking, and it is. But the immediate focus, again, is on making sure that Israelis are protected, defended, and that, again, this can't be allowed to be repeated. With regard to a second front, you put it, yes, this is something that we're very focused on. We have been from day one. We want to make sure that no other country or entity try to take advantage of the situation. The President's been very, very clear about that. He said very starkly that any state or non-state actor considering that should not. Don't do it. And he's backed that up in a number of ways, including, as I mentioned the other day and is known, deploying our largest aircraft carrier battle group to the Eastern Mediterranean. So that's clearly designed to help ensure that anyone contemplating getting engaged doesn't do it. But beyond that, a big part of my own conversations here throughout this trip, including today, following up the next couple of days, is working with other countries to make sure that they're using their own contacts, their own influence, their own relationship to make that case that no one else should be taking this moment, choose to create more trouble in some other place. I should mention as well that earlier today, I had a very good conversation with President Abbas of the Palestinian Authority. And among other things, the Palestinian Authority is acting effectively to try to ensure that there is security and stability in the West Bank, something that is very much appreciated, and they are working as they've done in the past with Israel to that effect. So in each of these areas, yes, this is a focus, and it's very important that this not expand to other places.
Regarding your question about the progress on the hostages, actually it's very early to judge with the intensity of the war right now how hopeful we are. But we have to be always hopeful in order to get those hostages back. I think that the progress will be determined in the next few days, hopefully, and we will see if there will be a positive prospect for that. But we are doing our best. Our partners are doing their best in order to get them released safely. On our views on the Israeli response in Gaza, we have seen the amount of devastation that's hit Gaza, which almost now half of it been distracted, and the number of people who've been killed throughout this operation is significant. And we believe that human beings are human beings everywhere, whether they are in Israel or Palestinians. They have the same value, and this is deeply painful for all of us. And we would like to see international law applied here, and also the same standards that we apply to any war being applied in that. We are trying our best in keeping the communication open in order to ensure that the humanitarian suffering doesn't continue, and moving ahead with the humanitarian passages for the aid to be provided to them. We cannot deprive the people in Gaza from electricity, water, and medicine, and like all the means of life. We believe that the situation is very dangerous. On the future prospect of this, the entire situation is very worrying for the entire region, and we believe in the absence of any political horizon and hope for the Palestinians, this issue will keep ongoing, unfortunately. So that's why we need to focus on how the day after will be dealt with and how we can create a political horizon and hope for the Palestinian people.